and then it's highway science fair. Okay,
If you don't mind,
I will do so.
that way we'll be able to pick it up easier.
I'd like to call to order the Leesburg Area Board of School Directors Public Work Session Agenda Setting Meeting on Wednesday, October 14th, 2020 at 7:42 p.m. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. One comment before we take roll call. Ms. Tarr would like us, whenever we're talking this evening, even during the roll call, to speak clearly and loud through your mask so she's able to hear and doing the recording.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Tarr, we have roll call, please.
Ms. Felino. Here. Mrs. Gregory. Mrs. Knight.
Here.
Mrs. Lovelace.
Here.
Mr. Lovelace.
Here.
Mr. Shea.
Here.
Ms. Stewart.
Here.
Ms. Thompson.
Here.
Mr. Brady.
Here.
Thank you.
And I can make an announcement. We have the speakerphone is on in case Ms. Gregory would attend via electronic means. Ms. Tarr, do we have any public comments on agenda items?
I have none.
Administrative reports? Principals?
Who wants to go first?
I'll start off the elementary, just to update with the school transition.
Podium.
Just as an update, as we started this week, or last week on it, pretty smooth transition. Some of the things we worked out were transportation coming in with buses being down on Center Avenue, drop off going. At the beginning of this week, we eliminated the door at the elementary due to numbers, which has really made it much smoother. I don't think we'll ever go back to bringing the buses back up here. So that's one of the positives that really came out of that. Lunches, we've worked through that. There was a little bit of a headache on getting them, going down to the multi-purpose room and going back, but we've got radios. The cafeteria staff has done a wonderful job to get that updated and going, and we're ready to go. It's been great to have the kids back in the building. They're ready to go with that as well. The teachers have moved fully into their education with that. Right now at the elementary, we are doing our elementary data. So we're doing DIBLS, which is dynamic indicator of basic early literacy skills. We'll take that along with the IXL diagnostics, the STAR Reader and STAR Math assessments, and that will lead our WIN groups, which will start in about 2 weeks. And that's what I need. So we really try to differentiate that instruction for kids at the elementary during that half-hour to 40-minute time frame each day with them. In the past, we did whole grade levels where we were able to take some groups and put them into their ability groups with that. This year, they will remain in only their homework room groups. Some of those kids with the more dire needs on that will work with Title I teachers, but everybody else will stay in their home room for that. Next week, we're also going to start our MTSS meetings, which are our multi-tiered system of support. And this is something I think is very critical coming back right now. And we'll also start talking to the teachers with Ms. Mattis as she returns to talk about the social emotional well-being of our kids through those meetings as well, and making sure we're catching any kids that may be showing any symptoms of anything with that. Talking with Friday, a video will go out to all of our cyber families, talking about some new expectations with them. We've had some struggles with kids laying in bed trying to watch the lessons and going through. So we're going to try to set it up that they're sitting somewhere. It doesn't have to be at a desk. They can sit at the kitchen table, at a counter. They can sit on the couch with it. But we're going to ask the families to make sure the kids are paying attention with that, because we don't want to lose the kids. A lot of them are trying to get the work done. So we've really worked through that for the kids who remained home on cyber. So we've been going through on that. Quick update on the auditorium here. Good Sounds finally came in this week to work on the system, which we approved months ago. They got the gym done a couple months ago, but they were still waiting on a couple pieces that were back ordered due to the COVID pandemic on that. They're waiting on one more, but most of the stuff's in. So they did come in this week, started the wiring in the back room here, and they're hopeful within the next couple of weeks this should be finally done. So maybe within the next couple of board meetings that will be finalized. Last one here, last Friday, we had our annual Title I meeting. It was delayed a little bit. Normally, we do this in September, at the beginning of September, when we come back to school. But since we were totally remote for that time and go through, it's really to give the public a chance to be a part of that. Mr. Lovelace and Mrs. Stewart are a part of our committee with that. I apologize, Mr. Lovelace, there was an issue with him getting on to the meeting with that, and I was already on the meeting, didn't get the emails on that, so I apologize for that part of it. We did post that we had about 9 community members on there. Ms. Stewart was on there, and we posted it on our website for anybody to review, where we go through a slideshow that talks about all of our federal money, where we spend it for, and what happens with that plan. After that part of it goes into our school-wide plan, which is on the agenda for next week. I sent it out today to Ms. Stewart and Mr. Lovelace to review since they're on the committee with that. It'll be to the full board by the end of the week, hopefully tomorrow or Friday on that, the latest, for your review, asking for approval at the end of the month. That is part of our comprehensive plan, but the school-wide plan gets renewed every year as part of our Title I plan. So as we go through that, you'll read through there. What we use for that, it used all the data from the 2019 PSSA scores, as well as the Future Ready PA Index, and some of the strengths that I will talk about next month. I'll get you the document in front of you, and then next month I'll go through a little bit of it, just to go through the details of what the PA Ready showed us at the elementary, and really what we're planning moving forward with that. Any other questions for anything at the elementary? Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Just to reiterate some of the things David mentioned, the 5-day reopening has gone very well. It's been very different for everybody. As I'm sure you guys saw walking through to the library and around, we have one-way signs. We have one-way stairwells. Everybody's doing a very good job with following those. It was different for everybody, including the staff. I definitely appreciate the communication with the students, staff, and parents. Probably the last 2 weeks leading up to us coming back to school full time, I probably sent out 5 to 10 emails with information. And the parents seemed to read them and get the information, because we didn't have a lot of errors that came through. So I really appreciate that. That's not really the way I like to do things. I don't like to give a ton of information, because it sometimes confuses people, but we had to with those. But they did a great job going through them. And the first day of school, we were ready to roll, and we really didn't have too many issues that popped up. I want to thank Mrs. Prorock and Mr. Stitt for helping make the one-way signs. Ms. Fisher and I spent a lot of time putting them down in the halls and on the walls. They were made here. I know that the kids are appreciative of them, because they haven't gotten lost too many times. I know it's just confusing. We're all, I got to go up this stairwell or down this one. It's clearly marked, and we appreciate everybody jumping on board and helping with that. Morning entry, as Dave said, is a little bit different. We started with 3, just as the elementary did. We are down to 2 as well. It seems pretty smooth getting kids in. I know we're down a little bit with some full-time cyber kids, but for the most part, we don't have too much of a log jam getting people in. Everybody had to learn new skills. We have people taking temperatures who've never done that before. We have people doing bag check who have never done that before. I try to walk around out there, just kind of circle the school to see what's, where everybody's coming from. Everybody stepped up, and it's really went very smooth getting the kids in the building in the mornings. Lunches, we eat at 2 different spots. We eat in here, and we eat in the cafeteria. The lunches are so quiet, which I guess you could look at it 2 ways. It's good, because if you've ever had lunch duty, your ears are ringing whenever lunch duty is usually over. But it also takes away the opportunity for the kids to communicate a lot, because we do stay 6 feet apart, and we do keep that. As you can see, we have chairs in here marked 6 feet apart. Cafeteria, we have them marked as well. Everybody seems to be doing a great job with that. People who eat in here, and Nancy is in here almost, these kids are clean. I mean, it's amazing when they're eating lunch in here, they're doing a nice job. They eat up there. I mean, I don't see any hot dogs or anything like that laying around. They do a great job cleaning up after themselves during the lunches. Face coverings for the kids. Most kids, most adults, everybody's doing a great job with it. We've had a couple instances where we had to address it, but for the most part, everybody is complying with it, and we're very much appreciative of that. They are making the best out of a tough situation, and that's all we can really ask for them. Athletically, we're finishing up the fall season. Boys soccer and volleyball have qualified for the playoffs, And Colville is doing a nice job throughout the golf regionals. For boys soccer, it's the second season we have a team, so they've qualified for the playoffs. So we're proud of all the fall sports teams. Knock on wood, a lot of other schools have been dealing with a lot of different issues throughout the sports, and we haven't had to yet. I'm not saying we're not going to, but I think the athletes and the coaches realize if we want to keep playing and we want to keep competing, we have to follow, X, Y, and Z, and they seem to be doing that. So very appreciative of their efforts along with the participants, coaches, parents. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Director of Business Affairs.
Yeah, so I'd like to introduce Dina Turner to everybody. She is our new Director of Business Affairs. So this is the first time that she's following our procedure here. So you're gonna do a great job, Dina. And she's
thank
been
you.
a wonderful addition to our staff, and we very much appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. This evening on the agenda, we're asking you to consider, under the personnel section, the addition of several supplemental positions. One is Mr. Ben Fiore for the volunteer boys soccer coach. We also have Mr. Mark Jones as a game day worker and Mr. Corey Nolf. Those are three positions we're asking for your approval. We also have a full-time custodial position, Ms. Mariah Galbraith as a full-time custodial worker that she'll be working the evening shift here. Relative to the resignation that we also are considering this evening is of Miss Adrienne Frankowick as the junior high cheer coach. Also to be discussed is the memorandum of understanding relative to the SEIU union. Would you care to elaborate on that, Superintendent?
Yes, so in their contract, it states the times that they work, not necessarily the hours, but the times. So the cafeteria workers have agreed to dismiss the times in their contract, but their hours, the amount of hours they're working remains the same. And that is also due to COVID and the needs that we have. So we would like to thank the cafeteria workers for being so flexible and willing to do what they need to do to feed the kids. We very much appreciate that.
Thank you. Under Budget and Finance, the Turnley CPA audit is continuing. We hope to have that wrapped up here the first or second week of November. The 2021 Government Software Solutions item is relative to the printing of the notices for the Homestead Farmstead Act. Berkheimer Account Authorization Resolution, that's to replace Mr. Walker as the point of contact for the district. Also gives me the authority to file the quarterly reports on behalf of the district. The school district depository and investment request for proposal. We'd like to put a proposal out for banking services for the district. Just looking to see what else is available. The First Commonwealth Bank that has been the depositor for the district is moving out of downtown. And this also gives us the opportunity to look into what rates are available out there for some of our accounts, interest-bearing accounts. And lastly, the request for qualification for a technology managed service provider. That's to replace an anticipated retirement of Mr. George's IT assistant. This will enable us to bring someone in, feet on the ground immediately, and it's not a long-term position. We're hoping to eventually hire that position as to being a part of the district team. That's all I have this evening. Thank you, Mr. Bree.
Under legislative issues, we have amendment policy 006.1, attendance at meetings via electronic communications, which for school board meetings and so forth, such as we'll have the conference phone available for executive sessions and for the school board meetings. So we'll read that and we'll have that amendment. And policy 317.1, educator misconduct.
Yeah, the only change, there are some minor changes, but the big change is to have the Title IX coordinator come in if any mention of harassment is said by any of the people involved. So that's just to pull the Title IX coordinator in. It's just saying we have to do that.
And we also have the second reading for policy 309.1 for telework. which in today's environment is being done by almost everyone to a certain extent. Okay, Superintendent, Board Secretary updates?
Yeah, I just have a couple minor things. I wanted to give everybody an update on the percentage of cyber kids that we have. Last week, we were at about, when we were starting back, it was about at 11%. So at the end of day today, we had 14% of the high school doing virtual education and 10% of the elementary, which equals 12%. So we're up like 1% for students doing strictly virtual education. I don't know if you remember, we got a $67,000 grant like a year and a half ago to finish installing all the new exterior doors that are very old. The doors are finally in. COVID hit. We ordered the doors. COVID hit. The doors are finally in. They're starting to be installed. So that's exciting. So over like the next month, all of our exterior doors will be top-notch security doors. So that's exciting. We're happy to finally get that done. As the principals have said, the kids, the staff, the parents, everybody has just been all-stars. When it says teamwork makes the dream work, that is not an understatement. It has been all hands on deck by all of the people involved. It's just, I was prepared for the worst. I dreaded the worst. I didn't sleep for 2 months over this, and I have to say, I'm so thrilled about just what everybody's doing. So parents come listening, thank you for putting the extra effort in. Teachers in the audience or at home, thank you. You had to reinvent everything that you've done, and you've done it exceptionally well. So thank you. And the kids, we were still worried about them not wearing their masks. Like Doug said, it's been minimal. And our kindergartners, they are just amazing with them, amazing. It's like they've always had them. So thank you for that. The Department of Health has become a full-time job. We met with the nurse, the principals, myself, just to make sure we're all on the same page. And we have a Google Doc now. You know, if anybody sniffles, it's on there. So we know, we keep track of it. So that's available to us 24 hours a day. So and that's a teamwork as well, to stay up on that. I think I met with the principals from yesterday to talk about attendance because we encourage kids to stay home when they have 2 more of the symptoms on the chart. And I know parents are worried about attendance, and some kids like to have perfect attendance. So we are going to have a new attendance policy for you to give kids who are having some elements at home but can still participate in their education, that they can go on to the classrooms and do that. So we're in the process of rewriting that right now. We want kids to get credit where credit's due. So we're working on that. And that concludes my update.
Okay. I think just like to reiterate that thank you goes out to the students, the parents, the grandparents, and the guardians, the staff and administration, in getting us through the first week. I mean, it's something that's totally different in the educational environment ever, I think, until this year. And so what I hear, it has been good. So thank you all. Under board-related issues, we have a board treasurer's appointment, which we will vote on fulfilling the unexpired term through June 30th of 2021. We have an amended school district calendar.
Yes, that's the calendar you gave me permission to tell the parents before. It's what we had already talked about at the last meeting. We just need to-
And we'll have the 2020, 2021 busing schedule updates. In 2021, bus drivers and bus driver substitutes listing updates. That is a recurring item on our board issues every month, according to what we should be doing by the Pennsylvania laws. We also have a Gilpin Township LERTA application review, which we will discuss and vote on next week also. And just a comment on there, it's encouraging people to do building, and this is in Gilpin. It's doing what it was supposed to do, so we're happy about that. And we'll have an amended 2020, 2021 athletic safety plan.
I actually think that's on, that's on for this evening. Mr. Rogers, would you like to talk about that briefly? I already sent you an email about the number of tickets for football games. Do you want to talk about volleyball as well for senior night?
Sure. The latest guidance we received from the state helped some schools with allowing more people into the events. They had a formula.
Mr. Rogers, you come up there. We can hear you, but the people will be able to hear you better on the remote.
received from the state had a formula for indoor and outdoor events. The part that's not very well publicized in the newspapers is that we're still required to have social distancing and face masks at the events. So a gym like ours is one-sided. It didn't really give us anything. We still have to maintain the 6 feet of separation within the seating. A place where that would have been beneficial would have been a larger school that may have bleachers on both sides of the floor and even some have it underneath the baskets. That would have given them more leeway with allowing people in. So, unfortunately, we did not get much relief in regards to having more people come to the events. Again, and we've changed this as much as we can because I, as a parent of a youngster, would love to see my kids play as well. So I think we all understand the importance behind it. For football games, we're going to try to have 3 people for every participant come into the games. And for the volleyball games indoors, we're going to have 2 still. But with senior night coming next week, we're going to give those a few more tickets to the senior parents so they can try to get some other family members in the games. But again, it was portrayed, it was this great relief for school districts to allow them to have more people in events. But the way that we read it made it pretty clear that we still had to provide that 6 feet of separation.
That's correct. Yeah.
And we'll keep changing it. I mean, I know fall sports are pretty much over here next week. Hopefully we're able to have a successful season. If things change, we will absolutely update it as it comes through. Some more people in there, but as soon as those come out, the first Tiffany and I talk right away. Then we speak with Andre about it and go from there. So we try to be on top of it, but like I said, this didn't provide us with too much relief because of the way that our stadiums and gym are set up.
And just so you're clear, what you're voting on tonight is to give 3 tickets per participant at a single football game we have.
Right. Sure.
When you're inside the gym, I get that we are very small. When it's 6 feet between, is it per person or is it per set of tickets?
It would be per person.
So like if my husband and I, who are in the same house, we're 6 feet apart and you're counting us as 2 separate people and we're 6 feet apart?
Correct. You would be apart from one another.
I don't understand.
So there's 38 X's in the gym.
Right, but I guess my question is, would you be able to allow more people in if they came in and sat? So if the people that live in my house sat in this section, and the people that live in Anthony's sat in that section, now we're 6 feet apart, but we're the people that are together all the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're saying that every person, every ticket is 6 feet apart, but I'm sure that they're not sitting that way.
Yeah, I don't know that we could plan for that. I understand what you're saying. If you had 3 or 4 people and you all squished together, I literally put the X's on myself in the gym and measured 6 feet apart for the X's. So if you have 4 bodies, it's not going to match up then where the next spot would be at.
Mr. Lucas, do you have any guidance?
Yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of places have kind of made it like family units or family, household pods, and then, 6 feet between that pod and someone else. But the logistical problems then become essentially making sure that you have those people assigned to an area where they're not going to reduce the distance between them and the other group. So the only guidance that I can think of is if, for example, you had, family units, if you spaced it out, for example, like that you're giving people 2 tickets and you had it sort of arranged so that those 2 tickets are together, and then, see how that would change your measurements, like the 2
Right, and
tickets
then
and then measure 6 feet and then 2 tickets. You might be able to squeeze a few more in there. A lot of places are doing it that way. If you read the guidelines or the recommendations strictly, you'd look at it and say, well, it looks like we've got to have 6 feet between every person. But I think the common practice that a lot of districts have been putting in place is looking at that in terms of like a couple or, a family and then 6 feet between them. So, if you're able to squeeze a few more in and you do it that way, I think there's at least enough good faith kind of leeway that a lot of places are putting in place that might allow you to leverage a few more people.
So I guess what you'd have to think about for the winter season would be how many people would be permitted to sit right next to one another, because if you had two, then we would measure 6 feet and put a spot of 2.
Right,
But if you had 3, then there would not be 6 feet versus
Right.
where that next one would be at.
that's right. So in a sense, like if you looked at it, I mean, one way to handle it might be decide that if you have clusters of 2 people or clusters of 3 people, that they're going to be at the end of the row or something like that, so that you have kind of a place for them to go that's predetermined, so that you can sort of continue to maintain 6 feet and just figure that in your ticket distribution. Maybe after you look at it preliminarily and make some measurements, you're never going to be able to get, or it's going to be hard to get more than 2 people, you know, so maybe you have a couple of rows where there's less clusters, but you have enough room for a couple of 3s, but then the rest of them are 2s or something.
Well, possibly for basketball season, I see what you're saying, Daniel, is maybe if we had spaced out for, like for the players, we have 2 tickets for a family. Probably those 2 people would be able to sit next to each other. So if you had 15 players on a basketball team, you could have 15 twos and then 6 feet between or so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as long as we would keep it at that. I think it gets a little sticky when you have more than 2, because then the distance is not going to be, because
Yeah.
everybody's
But
backside.
Maybe to add some additional tickets on to
Yeah.
sit the 6
Yeah,
foot
I guess
spacing.
I'm doing that, and I was kind of talking, because I know that the senior night for volleyball is coming up, and I know that people that come together, like even at the football field, people that come together, sit together, so for us to go and say that we rode the same car and really go to sleep in the same room, but we have to sit 6 feet apart, that doesn't make logical sense.
Yeah, I think a lot of this doesn't make much sense, but we,
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, in general, I'm not asking you to go in there and like remeasure it, because I think that people know what's going on, and today, for the most part, people are doing what they're, like, separating when they're at stadiums and things, because they don't want
Yeah,
to not be able to go. So I'm
yeah,
not
from a
asking you to do
logistical
that, but I'm
standpoint,
just
we
saying
have to measure the twos.
yeah, I would have no
People
problem.
on the team.
For the winter, I would have no problem remeasuring. I mean, the tape, I was down there today recounting to make sure we were accurate in what we were passing along, and the tape's already coming up, so it probably needs put back down again.
And then
before
for
the-
the senior volleyball players, I mean, like, they will definitely.
I think we're going to
more
get them
than-
4. Yeah, I think they're each going to get 4. Andre and I spoke about that today.
Be a way that we could have a student body come in here and have a big screen for them to see the games.
I don't know.
It's down to them who's gonna monitor that.
Yeah.
You know, we have to have, I mean, I'm not saying no, it's just like me, the superintendent, all logistics are coming to my mind. We'll
So,
talk
you know,
about it.
Yeah, it's all-
If you're going to high school and kids are playing, it's like a different world for those kids who aren't playing. They don't participate. But if they know that.
Well,
they
sure.
can
I mean,
go
that
See their friends play.
the Devil's Den down there, that big, I mean, that's what people did. They were involved in the theme nights and things like that. Like, so they are absolutely missing out on
They
part of
said
it as
the
well.
live stream it up here some kind of way for the non-participants to be involved in the school.
Mhm.
I guess with that in mind, even like, so Friday, senior night, last football game, I've been up there, and I know that even if you give everyone 3 tickets, there's still tons and tons of wasted space, not wasted, but extra space. So that, and part of the bleachers where there used to be the away cheerleaders and band.
Mhm.
So is there any way to allow maybe senior students, some of them, a ticket on a first come, first served basis?
So it is measured out. There are X's all over the bleachers, even over there. And I think there's 192 X's. So we give all 77 participants 3 tickets. We're going to be over that. I don't know if all the people don't come, but or they're seated next to each other, like you had mentioned before.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can see, the couple football games that, you know, like people that come together, sit together, because I guess in my mind and everyone else's, that's what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how you interpret it. But yeah, I don't know that. I guess I didn't think of that because we're trying to keep 6 feet of separation. So
Yeah, I understand. I just, like, I want kids that, you know, and everyone here,
Yeah.
wants kids to be able to be kids or have some semblance of a senior year or participate in something or feel like they belong, you know, like to something. And so I just wondered, because I do know that whole section is empty besides the play caller for the other team.
yeah, which is odd because it shouldn't be. Like I said, the
But
numbers,
that is because families. come
yeah,
in.
the numbers add up in a way that every seat should be taken, and we even added the X's down along the fence to give some more space for people to stand.
So those senior band cheerleaders and football players will get extra tickets as well?
That is not part of the plan. For the football game?
Yeah.
No, that would be just for the volleyball game. There would be 3 tickets each for the football band and cheerleaders for each participant.
Are extra members of their family allowed to come in to escort them? Because I'm only asking because I read that.
Yeah, Andre set that up, so if he said that, I would say yes. I'm not sure what his plan is in terms of them leaving the facility after that. I don't know that.
I mean, it's not yours to know. But
Yeah.
I'm saying that might be a hard sell. If you let me in, I don't really know that you're gonna be able to pick. me
Yeah,
up
so
and
they
tell
letting
me
more than
that.
3 people escort them? I don't know that I've ever seen
You know,
that.
I don't know. I mean, there are some that have siblings, so I know that they wanted like the 2 and then the siblings to come. And I read something on Facebook, and again, that doesn't mean it's law.
Yeah,
but-
he was actually having a Zoom meeting right now in his office with people associated with football, so.
Okay.
If that's the case, we'll make adjustments to that, but as far as the plan goes, it would be 3 tickets per participant for cheer, band, and football.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then we'll go under new business and personnel. And generally, this is a work session and we don't do a lot of voting on it. But due to the COVID-19 and due to the changes that have been happening recently, we have had to add some voting items into our work session, and also to make sure we have people available, such as for custodial work. So the first, under personnel, 1, a motion is needed to hire Ms. Mariah Galbraith to the position of full-time custodial worker at step 1 of the Service Employees International Union collective bargaining agreement effective October 15, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? None, the motion passes. Thank you. A motion is needed to accept the resignation due to retirement of Mr. David Lee Mason from the position of technology assistant effective December 31st, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. A motion is needed to accept the resignation of Ms. Adrienne Pagowick from the position of cheerleading sponsor effective October 14, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. A motion is needed to rescind the approval of Mr. Corey Knoll from the position of volunteer assistant varsity football coach. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. A motion is needed to approve and ratify the following supplemental positions for the 2020-2021 school term. Mark Jones, game day worker, fall sports. Corey Knoll, game day worker, fall sports. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? None, motion passes. Thank you. 6, a motion is needed to authorize the administration to publish and post a request for qualifications for a technology managed service provider to provide technology staff and services to the Leesburg Area School District, subject to solicitor's review and approval as presented in Exhibit A6. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments? I have one comment on the RFQ. I don't think I read in there, but if we do, I don't know, Russ, where we have the ability to object any of the bids or quotes that come in as the,
Yeah, I mean, and I'll certainly clarify it before it goes out, that you have the ability, and retain your right to reject all quotes.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Under board-related issues, 1, a motion is needed to amend the 2020-2021 school district calendar as presented in Exhibit B1. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. 2, a motion is needed to appoint Ms. Dina Turner to fulfill the unexpired term of office of board treasurer through the end of the term on June 30th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. A motion is needed to approve the stormwater management agreement with Leesburg Borough, subject to final review and approval of the district solicitor. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. A motion is needed to amend the 2020-2021 athletic safety plan as presented in Exhibit B4. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Under C, Finance, a motion is needed to authorize the administration to develop, advertise for legal requirements, solicit and review responses, and provide recommendations for requests for proposals relating to the school district depository and investments, subject to solicitor's review and approval as presented in Exhibit C1. Do I have a motion? Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? None, motion passes. Thank you. That's all in the finance. Ms. Tar, do we have any public comments on non-agenda items?
I have none.
Therefore, do I have a motion to adjourn the public work session at 8:19 p.m. on October 14th? Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstention? Motion passes. Thank you, and thank all of you for being in attendance and all of you remote watching the live stream.